but although I've been like in the car for a while, so. All right, so I'm Dr. Hodges. I'm one of the bariatric surgeons that I've just gotten privileges up here. I've been practicing bariatric medicine and surgery since 2011. I do all the surgeries. I do sleeve, bypass, duodenal switch, revisions. So I'm pretty well versed in all the ups and downs of our patients. So kind of tell me in here, has everybody in here had surgery, or there's some people that are wanting to have surgery?
I'm thinking on it.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I just wanted to get some information.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I think, and y'all are thinking, you're thinking about maybe having some surgery? Awesome. And now y'all have had surgery, correct? What surgery did y'all? Do you mind me asking?
Had the sleeve.
Had the sleeve. All right. Good deal.
3 years ago.
And what about you guys? Have
I've
y'all?
had the sleeve.
You had the sleeve. All right. Okay.
Now, what
Perfect.
did you have?
Sleeve.
Sleeve.
Had the sleeve. All right. So, what I want to kind of talk about is it's going to be pertinent definitely for patients that have already had surgery, but then also to kind of dispel the myths, I think, for patients that you're interested in surgery. I certainly have a lot of patients whenever they come to see me, they have all these different things that they've heard from friends and they've read on the internet and they've heard from different people, and there's a lot of good information out there, but there's also a lot of bad information out there. I think the two main things that's going to be the most important in terms of having good long-term success is doing your vitamins and doing a good protein supplement. And when I say a protein supplement, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a protein shake from Smoothie King. There's some really good unflavored protein powders that I like. I like Gene Pro. Have y'all heard of that one?
No, we go with the Premier Protein.
Premier.
I use Premier.
Yeah. Premier is,
I like the chocolate, so.
I usually have the chocolate every morning.
Yeah.
So Premier is a wonderful pre-made protein shake. You can get it at Costco, Sam's, Walmart. You can usually get like little coupons for it as well. What's nice about Premier is it's low calorie, low sugar, low fat, and really high protein. Because typically, if you're gonna have a bypass or a sleeve, you really need about 60 to 80 grams of protein a day. If you're having a duodenal switch, then you need about 100 to 120 grams a day. And so, in the long term, to really help to maintain your weight, you're always going to need to find ways to incorporate the protein. But, I mean, if you're 2 years out, 5 years out, like how long has it been since you guys have? 3.5, yes. So, it can sometimes get a little tedious. I've definitely had some patients that they're like, if I look at one more cookies and cream protein shake, I'm just gonna gag.
I think a lot of people do that, but some of us, that we just are set on a particular pattern and rotation of food and.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
how we do it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
He actually got bored of playing.
Yeah.
well, I think also, I mean, I've told some patients, just look at your protein like it's medicine. I mean, you have to have it. So Premier's great. For my patients that kind of get a little frustrated, especially like my duodenal switch patients or my revision
What
patients
is that one?
So a duodenal switch is actually a mix between the bypass and the sleeve. It's actually where the sleeve came from. So back in the 50s and 60s, the duodenal switch was really one of the first bariatric surgeries that was performed. What they would do is they would bring you in, open you up, perform a sleeve, close you up, send you home for a year, let you lose some weight, and then they would bring you back, open you back up again, and then do this small bowel rearrangement. And then, as most things in surgery occur, they always try to look at what are different ways that we can update this surgery. So from that, the bypass was born. And then that evolved probably about 15 years ago, right about the time that the sleeve was coming on board, was right when we were starting to do the duodenal switch laparoscopically. And so the idea was, is there another surgery that we can do that's not as complex as a bypass that might have about the same outcome as a bypass? And so, since they were starting to do the duodenal switch, they thought, well, we used to just send people home with a sleeve, and they had some pretty good weight loss. Is this something that we can do laparoscopically? And that's actually how the sleeve itself was born. So it was from the history of performing it as the first step of a duodenal switch.
Thanks.
Yep. And whenever I have patients that come to me, if they've had failed sleeves, a lot of times I'll just revise them. I just complete their operation. I revise them from a sleeve to a duodenal switch.
Okay.
So, yep. But with protein, another thing that patients can do just to kind of change things up, like if you get an unflavored protein powder like the Gene Pro, it mixes completely in water or juice or lemonade or iced tea, mixes completely just in a little bit amount of water. So you could put in one small scoop is 20 grams. So I mean, you can make your own protein shot. Have y'all seen at the grocery store or at GNC, they have they look like little test tubes and they're called like protein shots, and it's like 40, 50 grams. Have y'all seen those? You can actually make one of those yourself with the Gene Pro unflavored protein powder. I mean, because one of those little protein shots is like $5-6 each.
Does it does it get thicker?
It doesn't.
It doesn't, it just mixes with the water.
It mixes it makes it look cloudy, but it doesn't change the flavor,
Wow.
the smell, or the texture. And so, which is important because if some people if they get behind on their protein, they can start to have some issues with nausea, and then anytime they see any kind of protein, they're just like, oh, I don't want any of this. So the Gene Pro has really helped a lot of my patients because it's a quick, easy way. Another way to get some extra protein in is if you like milk. I really like Fairlife milk. Have y'all tried Fairlife?
Chocolate.
Yeah, the chocolate's great. So Fairlife milk is just,
Is it like that soy stuff?
no, it's just plain Jane milk. It's lactose free. It's an ultra filtered milk. It's a little bit more expensive, but I know right now they're having it on sale at Tom Thumb because my daughter really likes it.
Cheaper at Walmart,
Oh, is it? Okay.
a lot cheaper.
Then I need to go. I know for 8 ounces of their like 1% milk, it's about 80 calories and maybe it's like 10 to 12 grams of protein. So you can get a cup of chocolate milk, 8 ounces. You could even put a scoop of your Gene Pro in, which is 20 grams, and now your cup of
So
like,
it's half your supply, right?
yeah, it's 30 grams. You can get it right there, and it's just a cup of chocolate milk. And I could care less if my patients have chocolate milk. If it's Fairlife, I mean, I don't even know if it's real chocolate that they're putting in there anyway.
It also has a longer expiration date on it too, which is nice.
Yes, it is. It's ultra filtered, it's lactose free, and so it'll last like 6 weeks in your fridge. So it's really nice. So
Is it just lactose-free milk? They used to sell lactose-free, but is it different to lactose-free milk? Or?
I think it is. Like there's like one milk called like Lactaid. This is different. This is, I mean, it just tastes like milk. But it's
It's really good, Roger.
yeah, it's called ultra filtered, and if you get their skim milk or their 1% milk, it actually tastes a lot creamier. So it isn't, if you get skim milk, it kind of just looks like blue water.
Does it, by any chance, increase? Is there a higher glycemic index to it? I mean, will it jack up your blood sugar? Because that's
No.
my issue. Because I just had a bad A1C.
Oh dear, no, not that I'm aware of. Nope, not that I'm aware of. So, because I have a lot of patients that will drink that because they're trying to find different ways.
I've been doing the almond milk.
Oh, that's
And that's good.
how much protein is. I don't know how much protein is in 8 ounces of
I
almond
can't
milk.
remember it all. I know
But-
there is protein in it.
But another thing that you guys can try is, have y'all heard of Halo Top ice cream?
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Halo Top ice cream. It comes in a pint, and let's see, the vanilla bean It's, for 1 pint of ice cream, it's 180 calories and 20 grams of protein. And I mean, like 1 to 2 grams of sugar and maybe 1 or 2 grams of fat. I mean, it's low
What's the-
sugar.
What's the carbs?
I think it's like 1 or 2 grams. It's low.
Where do you see that?
You can get it at Walmart. It's the cheapest at Walmart.
Is that right?
Yep.
What's the name of it
And
again?
Halo Top. It comes in a little, it's a little carton, and the lid has a gold rim. So
Okay.
Halo Top ice cream. They have like every flavor. There's vanilla bean and oh my gosh, the
See,
birthday
yeah, the
cake.
caramel, yeah.
They even have, like my husband is a psychologist, and he's had a weight loss surgery, and he does all of my bariatric evaluations. But he's had a bypass about 7 years ago, and he loves peanut butter. And Halo Top makes peanut butter pops,
Oh, wow.
60 calories, and I think they're like 10 grams of protein. So, and they taste really good. They make a strawberry shortcake pop. I'm convinced. Have any of y'all ever watched Chopped, like on like on the Food Network? I know, like they'll make their ice cream, they make their liquid, and they throw it in the ice cream machine. I'm convinced that the people that make Halo Top, it's just a protein shake, and then they pitch that into an ice cream maker. I mean, it's really good ice cream. You can even
Hello, hi.
Actually, you could even make, if you like a root beer float, if you get like diet root beer, you can put 2 or 3 plops of the Halo Top vanilla in a cup, put in diet root beer, and now you have a root beer float that's like 15 grams of protein. If you don't want the diet root beer, one of my patients told me that in the flavoring section, there is, where they have Mio and Crystal Light and all that stuff. Apparently A&W has a flavoring, like a food syrup thing. And I was thinking, I was gonna try it this weekend actually. I was thinking about getting that. I'm sure you could put just a little bit of that like in some water if you don't want all the fuzz. Cause what I don't like about an ice cream float is I don't like when you pour in the soda, it bubbles up. That kind of grosses me out. But I bet if I just put the A&W in like some water, mix it up, and then pour that over the ice cream, or you could even pour that in some like Fairlife milk. Now you can make a milkshake, and it's a protein shake. I mean, you can use Fairlife milk, Halo Top ice cream. I mean, Halo Top comes in red velvet, chocolate. I could care less if my patients make a chocolate milkshake with Halo Top and with Fairlife. I mean, that's a protein shake. I actually had one lady, she told me that she was like, I don't want you to get mad at me, but I just had a pot of Halo Top last night for dinner. And I'm like, perfect! You had 200 calories and 20 grams of protein. I do not care. So what I'm really wanting my patients to focus on is trying to find different unique ways to get in your protein. And there's lots of little easy kind of sneaky ways to get it in. So I don't want, for my folks that are thinking about having surgery, I just don't want you to think that you're going to be relegated to having to go to Smoothie King for the rest of your life or digging out the blender. Like, I have a blender, but I never use it, and I don't want to clean it. So if I'm doing a protein shake, I do Premier because it's just pre-made, or we hit the Halo Top and we drink Fairlife milk. So do any of y'all have some different ideas or some different ways besides Premier, or some other little ideas that you've had for Premier? For protein?
Not really, but basically I was gonna kind of go back on something. You mentioned like if you wanted like chocolate milk, is it already made up as chocolate milk?
Yes.
Or can you put the cocoa powder or something
Well,
in there that
actually,
doesn't have the
so
sugar?
No, it's already made up, and the sugar is low, because I'll get it, because I don't want my daughter, she's 3, I don't want her to get all kind of hopped up on sugar, and I'll give her Fairlife chocolate milk, because I mean, it's very, very low in carb. I need to check that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether the sugar count is less than just the vanilla, the regular Fairlife versus
Now, in the chocolate milk, it's a little bit higher, but I know my daughter doesn't get a sugar high from drinking it,
Yeah.
so
Well,
she isn't
I
like
use,
wound up.
Splenda and stevia more than anything else.
Uh-huh,
Splenda and stevia, basically I about have to.
yeah,
But I'll use that. I'm just trying to creatively think if I wanted something like say chocolate milk that isn't already made up. I could buy the Fairlife milk, what form of chocolate? Would it be like the unflavored bitter crap?
I actually think you should Melissa, can you Google chocolate Fairlife? I think that's what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
Sugar-free chocolate syrup.
Yeah, you can do that too.
They have sugar-free chocolate
That's the
syrup, but
nutritional
it is not a
information.
low-fat
No,
deal.
and it's
It-
right,
and it-
just
and
the
it
milk
does- and
and
it still
the
ha-
other
I found that out the
Yeah.
hard way.
We have sugar-free cocoa conversion.
Just straight Fairlife is 4.5 grams of fat, 20 grams of cholesterol, 13 grams of protein. Let's see, it isn't listing the sugars.
Chocolate Fairlife.
And that's one of the things that'll get you about that stuff.
Yeah.
It tastes good, but it'll get you.
Right, milk nutrition. Let's-
There's a nutrition label for the 2%.
Oh, and
2% has 6 grams of sugar.
now look at this. Actually, Fairlife is making their own protein. Look at that, Fairlife Nutrition Plan. Looks like they have
Whoa.
chocolate, 30 grams, looks like 150 calories and probably 2 grams of sugar. So there you go, Fairlife. Ooh, there's another one. I've only seen
Chocolate
it,
has double the sugar, by the way.
The
It's got
chocolate.
12 grams of sugar.
12 grams of sugar, so that might be a little bit high. But it depends on, everybody
How much you
kinda,
use too.
yeah, it kind of depends though. Like I have some patients, everybody kind of seems to have a little bit different threshold for how much carbohydrate they can take in.
For chocolate milk, Almond Breeze, it's not like dairy, but Almond Breeze has their own 40-calorie chocolate milk, and I don't know the nutritional label, but based off of the taste, it does not have sugar in it. It's not. They have their own chocolate almond milk. Yeah.
Splenda.
The thing with,
No.
the thing with almond milk is just flat almond milk only has 2 grams of protein in 8 ounces. Where there's 8 grams of protein in 8 ounces of regular milk.
Yeah. But you could always, to kind of zhuzh it up, you could add a
You can
scoop
add,
of that
yeah.
Gene Pro. You could actually add 2 scoops of Gene Pro, and you'd be fine, because that would give you 40 grams. Another protein that I tried, I'd gone to Central Market, and I don't know if there's one around here. I bet they actually have it if there's an HEB near where you guys are, but there's a brand, it's called, it's in the milk section, and it's called Shamrock Farms, and there's like, well, of course, there's a cow on it, and it's like their chocolate milk protein shake. It is so good, and I think it's 18 to 20 grams of protein. It's 190 calories, so it's a little bit higher in calories. So it has a little bit more carbohydrate and a little bit more fat. But I mean, if you want some chocolate milk, it is, I mean,
It comes
it's,
in some little individual 8-ounce bottles.
yes, and it is really good. I had gone shopping, because I really like HEB butter. I just love their butter. And when I was going through the dairy aisle, for my patients, I'm always like, if I see something new, I'll kind of take it down and I'll try it. And I have no problem telling my patients, I'm like, oh, don't get that. That doesn't taste good. But the Shamrock taste, it's really good. It's really good.
Now, for some of the new people here, how important is the protein?
It's really important. I mean, first of all, your body uses protein for almost every process in your body. It doesn't just build muscle, but protein is the building blocks for all the enzymes in your body. And so for all the processes that need to go on and all the metabolic pathways and chemical pathways, you need to have protein. And you have to take that protein in. If patients are not getting in adequate protein, initially they're gonna experience a lot of nausea. So for my men, they'll finally experience what morning sickness is like. But you can get anemic, you can have hair loss. If you've ever seen patients that they're kind of out from surgery and they just, I know everybody's heard this, like, they just don't look right. They look sick. I can guarantee you they're not doing their protein and they're not doing their vitamins. Yep, hands down. And I just wrote a paper for this, a little article for obesity help. If you're starting to lose weight and you're losing weight and then you start to plateau, one of the ways to kind of get out of that plateau is actually boosting up your protein. Take an extra 20 to 30 grams of protein in, and that will kind of knock you out of that plateau. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
If you want to try the Halo Pops, the Albertsons group, so Albertsons, Tom Thumb, United Supermarkets, Market Street, and then there's a separate Walgreens. If you use Ibotta, you get $1.50 back on those.
Oh.
And for the ice cream, it's 50 cents back. And the nice thing is you can use it up to 5 times in one transaction.
I've never used
So
Ibotta.
if you ever,
Is that like a coupon thing?
It's, they pay you back after the fact.
Oh,
some of the ones that have cards, like Kroger, you put your card in and it automatically takes it off. You don't have to scan your receipt anymore, which is wonderful.
Oh.
We've, so far, $208 we've got back. Last year.
I'm totally gonna do that. I'm like the coupon woman. I would love to be like that extreme
get together.
couponing that's on TV.
I've never seen how that
one,
ever
I've got
worked.
that one, and then
Well, you have to go on certain days, and then Tom Thumb, where
Well,
I
you just
go,
don't
they
see a
don't
lot of them
double.
around here.
Yeah.
Albertsons was one that used to give double coupons, but.
Now they-
Tom Thumb, they don't.
Yeah, and they don't double them anymore. It used to be like on Tuesdays, if you went, they would double your coupon, but now it was like, if it's 10 cents off, they'll double it. I'm like,
Yeah, but some of them going in there and buying about $200 worth of groceries and spending 15 cents for it. You're kind of like, I don't know about this.
they have to do a lot of planning to get that done.
Oh,
They have to do a lot of
undoubtedly,
planning.
camera work.
Let's see. So, what are some other things that people have told me? When it comes to your vitamins, for my patients, I actually, if you don't necessarily have to do a bariatric formulated vitamin. You do not have to break the bank for your vitamins. Bariatric Advantage is a bariatric brand. Bariactive is a brand. But my husband takes Centrum Adult. So I tell my patients, if you don't want to do one of those, which they don't have to, if you go to the grocery store, if you're a sleeve or a bypass, get Centrum Adult and take 2 a day. And I mean old school Centrum, not Centrum Silver, not Centrum for Men, Centrum Active, Centrum blah, blah, blah. Like old school Centrum. They're gonna have all their stuff, and then there'll be Centrum Adult kind of like at the bottom. And that's like the only complete vitamin, not Centrum Adult Liquid, Centrum Adult Gummy, like old school Centrum. That's either this orange chewable or their tablet. And then you can get like the Walmart version or the Walgreens version. If you take 2 of those, that is your multivitamin and your iron. So there's enough iron in it by the time you take 2, because in one tablet there's 18 milligrams of iron.
Is it any better than OptiSource? Or is it comparable? Or
It's the exact same. OptiSource is just another bariatric formulated vitamin.
Yeah, you gotta chew 4 of them a day.
Yeah, you don't have,
I
some
don't
people
mind.
like,
They
some
taste
people,
good, actually, but.
yeah, and that's the thing. For my patients, I like to tell them, like, in the beginning, there's some novelty to, I'm gonna get this vitamin, and I'll have some patients and they're setting their alarm and they're like, I'm gonna take it 4 times a day, because that's what this bottle says. Here's the deal, just take them all at once. I mean, because even if you're maybe not absorbing everything, if you forget to take your evening dose, now you're gonna absorb none of it, okay? And I know that the nutritionists, I'm like, don't tell Danielle, my nutritionist, but the nutritionists will say, separate your iron from your calcium. This is the reality. Take them together so you don't forget. If you are really profoundly anemic, I guarantee you, it's not because you're taking your calcium with your iron. It's because you're not absorbing it, or maybe you're a lady that has a heavy cycle, so you're losing it. Maybe you're having an ulcer and you're bleeding, but if you have a profound anemia, it's not because you're taking your calcium with your iron. There are other things that are going on that need to be addressed.
So the Centrum Adult.
Old school Centrum
old
Adult.
school one,
Take 2 of
She
those.
likes those OptiSource. I kinda gave
Yeah.
up on them. They were too chalky for me.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I like it.
What I want you to do is what you will do on a regular basis. If you like the taste and you're
It's like candy. It's
If
like
I can
Smarties.
save money on it, I'm probably pretty good with that.
yeah, I mean like, but that's the thing.
Source ain't cheap.
No, it's not. That's why I'll let her take one. That way we're only buying one bottle of them
Yeah.
instead of 2.
Every now and then Walgreens will have buy one, get the second one for
Yeah.
50% off.
Exactly.
That's the only way you can save any money, but in my opinion, that's still a little
Yeah.
on the steepish side.
And here's another thing too. I had done IVF, well, 3 years ago, because now almost 4 years ago. And at the time, I was taking all these vitamins, and I kind of worked with a nutritionist to try to develop like a fertility kind of supplement. And in that process, I found out that all vitamins are pretty much the same. Like the same place that makes Centrum probably also makes One A Day, probably also makes Geritol, is all the same. How your vitamins differ is really the components that go into that multivitamin. And so the reason why I like Centrum is it's a really good complete vitamin, because it has like zinc and copper and all those like little micronutrients. When you end up getting like One A Day for men, they don't have any iron in that. Or if you're getting like the Centrum Senior or something like that, it will have a little extra of something else. But because your tablets can only be so big, when they're adding a little bit more of one thing, they take away something else. And so if you do for sleeves and bypasses, 2 Centrum Adult, you're golden for your multivitamin and iron. If you're a duodenal switch, or if you're a revision of a bypass to like a duodenal switch or long limb bypass, I want my patients to do 3. So you do that. Everybody should probably do a vitamin D. Nobody goes out in the sun anymore, and that's where vitamin D is converted in your skin. The other thing is that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So bariatric patients, because you're taking in less, and especially if you're getting a bypass or a switch, you're not absorbing as much of that fat, so you're not going to be absorbing as much of those vitamins. That's why you have to supplement with vitamin D. Typically, if I'm going to see a patient in clinic and they're going to be deficient in anything, it's vitamin D and iron. Okay, so vitamin D, now those can be gummies, so I could care less if they're gummy. As you want vitamin D3, that's the best form, and 5,000 IUs. I get these little ones that look like little orange slices. It tastes really good. So any brand, doesn't matter, but take vitamin D. And the reason why vitamin D is important is it tells your body to absorb calcium from the food that you eat. So in your body, the major store of calcium is in your bones. 98% of all the calcium in your body is stored in your bones, and your blood carries 2%. But that 2% is super important because that is what controls all the electricity in your body. So every nerve impulse, every, and also like muscle contraction, so like in your heart, which is important. But I mean also like every nerve impulse, it relies on calcium channels. So the calcium in your bloodstream is very, very, very tightly regulated. It's not going to flux too much one way or the other. So if your calcium starts to go low, if you're not taking in enough calcium, your body's going to leach it from your bones. And so that's why some bariatric patients, why you can be more prone to osteopenia or osteoporosis, even men, because your body is going to get that calcium from somewhere. So you really need to keep up with your calcium. 1,000 milligrams for ladies, that's what we need to be doing anyway. But 1,000 milligrams, and again, that can be, now the dietitians will say do calcium citrate, and yes, that's the best absorbed, but I can tell you, if my kid like ate a bottle of Tums, which is calcium carbonate, I'd have to call poison control because she ate too much calcium, okay? So find a good calcium chew. There's calcium chews, they're all the same. Just pick one that's like 500 milligrams, that way, some of them are 250, and you just don't want to have to do 50 million throughout the day. Because again, in the beginning, it won't bother you so much because you've just had surgery and you're excited and you know, oh, I have all these things to do. Yeah, 3 years out, you're like, oh dear God, I don't want to take a mix full of pills every day. So get a good 500 milligram calcium chew. Now, the ones that are actually really tasty are at Bariatric Advantage. They are awesome, but they are a little bit pricier, but they're awesome. They come in, I mean, every flavor under the sun.
They're like Starburst.
Oh yeah, they taste so good. Oh my God, they taste so good. They actually have a really good chew multivitamin. It doesn't have iron in it, but they have a chewable iron. It's good, but it's a little bit pricier. So if you're being more price conscious, there are other things that you can do. So don't think that you have to get these special bariatric vitamins.
Where can you buy them
Which ones? The
at? Bariatric Advantage.
If you go to bariatricadvantage.com,
Mom online.
yeah, you can just buy them online. I'm sure they have free shipping if you buy a certain amount. You can get them on auto ship. I have a lot of patients that they'll just put it on auto ship. That way they don't even have to think about it. And all the bags of everything, it's gonna be like a 30-day supply. So, but you can do, I know that they have calcium chews whenever you go to Sam's. They'll have them taste like chocolate or caramel. However, I have had some patients, like some of my sleeve patients, they still have issues with reflux, and that's one of the things that can happen with sleeve patients. Even if you've never had reflux before, you can develop reflux afterwards. I'll have some that, because I don't want them on a proton pump inhibitor that's like omeprazole, that's a certain class of acid blocker, because it's really not good to be on that for long term.
I've been doing
It can cause some, they now have studies that show that it can cause long-term anemias and some issues with heart disease. So it's better to switch to like an H2 blocker like Zantac. But I'll also tell my patients, get the super extra strength Tums. You know, they now come in like 1,000 milligrams, but they also have some that taste like berry, and I mean, they have them in every flavor. But I'll tell my patients, if they have a sleeve, hey, chew on 2 of the 1,000 milligram calcium Tums. It's gonna help you with your reflux, and you're gonna get you some calcium in that day. Because you're still gonna absorb